Hi everyone, it's James here at NAMM 2020. I can't believe it's the start of a new decade. We are starting, as we always do, on the Universal Audio booth, and these guys have nothing really to talk about
Nothing to
today,
talk
have
about,
you?
nothing new.
I'm here with Lev Perry, who we all know and love. Let's just dive in. Lev,
right.
tell me all about the very exciting Luna recording system.
So as you said, Luna is a recording system that transforms your Apollo into a full-fledged production system, music creation system, and it just takes everything that people love about Apollo and integrates it into this seamless workflow. I think, there's been so many rumors about what this thing is. All the rumors are true, and even some of the things you might not expect are also true. But Luna is really based around 4 key pillars of workflows, features, things that people, I think, are just going to really love. The first bit of workflow is all about integrating with Apollo, as I just mentioned. So people have been asking us for years, hey, I love the console app, but I really need it to integrate with my recording software of choice. And so that's what Luna really represents. We've got this ability to track in real time with our DSP seamlessly in one app, in one window. So the tracking experience is just phenomenal. There's also about a dozen other key features of integrating with Apollo. So whether it's about the cue system or the talkback system, the monitoring, the alt speakers, all of that stuff can be controlled right within Luna. So again, as an entire system solution, a studio solution, you have all this great workflow. The second key feature or set of features in Luna that is really exciting is something we call Luna extensions. They're not quite plugins, they're not quite software features, they're an amazing combination of both, where we're taking some of our algorithmic know-how and building them into the fabric of the system. So as an example, we have Neve summing. Neve summing gives you the sound of a Neve console right inside of Luna. So you can mix right into those buses and get the cohesion of analog summing, but again, in the digital domain. It's a pretty amazing thing. The other extensions that we're announcing are the Oxide tape machine and the Studer tape machine. Now again, these are built in to the channels. You're not going around and bringing up a bunch of plugins. You're sort of just mixing or retracking through a tape machine. And again, the workflow is just seamless because everything is built right in. The last and certainly not least major pillar of Luna is Luna instruments. And again, these are Luna exclusive instruments that are built right in and have amazing sound quality. If you guys are familiar with Universal Audio, you know that we pride ourselves on being able to have some of the most amazing analog representations of signal processors. Well, we've brought that to Luna instruments. And one of the marquee instruments that we're showing here is the Moog Mini Moog. And this is just an amazing end-to-end replica of the original built right into Luna. Now, some of these extensions and some of these instruments are going to be paid options. Some of them are going to be included. Just to quickly go through that, we've got the Oxide tape machine, which is going to be included for free. We've got the Mini Moog and the Studer, which are going to be paid options. And we've also got a couple of other instruments that are also paid options. The Ravel grand piano, which is a Steinway Model B that we recorded at Ocean Way Studios with their key engineers, with their key equipment. So you get sort of many benefits of having an amazing sample-based piano that actually goes into a virtually modeled cabinet. So it's using some signal processing, some sample-based technologies as well. And again, what we've got at the end of the day is a real grand piano in a real world-class studio. And when you bring it up on the speakers, you actually can't tell that it's a virtual instrument or not. It sounds like a real grand piano in an amazing room. That Ravel piano is, again, going to be available in our online store come launch. And last but certainly not least with regards to instruments, we've come up with this amazing toolkit instrument called Shape. Now, Shape is sort of a bigger instrument that has everything you need to make music. It's got drums, it's got bass.
You might call it kind of a general MIDI set.
Kind of, yeah. But in terms of the sound quality, much higher quality than you might equate with those types of products. So again, not only have Universal Audio taken, for example, the Ravel grand piano and put that into Shape as sort of an intro version, but there's other stuff from some of the best partners in the industry, like Spitfire Audio, Sonic Couture, Loop Stella Creme, a bunch of people that are really well known for making some of the best content out there. We've actually got on board inside of Shape. So it's something that out of the box is going to give you tons of sounds for your production, and is something that just gives you that kind of palette of sounds to get you started. And so some really exciting stuff. Shape will be included. And I think to just kind of put the cherry on top, a lot of people have been asking, what is the price of Luna? right? Is it $1,000? Is it $2,000? I think the crazy thing and the exciting thing for us is that if you are an Apollo or an Arrow customer, Luna is free. So again, we've got this nice mixture of tools and solutions that you're just going to get if you're one of our customers. And then again, there are some extra Luna extensions and instruments that you'll be able to purchase in our online store. And we're even starting to dream up some great bundles that people can get into to get everything in one shot, to really experience the full Luna system. This recording system, when you put everything together, is truly amazing. And yeah, we're just really excited about it.
So we have it running behind us on
Yes.
this rather lovely Mac Mini, iMac Pro even.
Yeah, that's right.
Mac Mini. Let's have a look. Let's dive in. I've got about 1 billion questions.
Great. We can go through that.
So let's dive in.
Okay.
So it's effectively I'm going to use the word DAW because,
fair.
hey, it's 2020 and that's the
Sure.
kind of modern vernacular. But, you know, I'm seeing something that automatically, I guess, is kind of a fairly familiar scenario, a kind of a tracking window and an editing window, and then a kind of a mixing platform.
That's right.
The mixer looks an awful lot like something I'm fairly used to seeing, though. Can you talk us through a little bit of the layout, the types
Yes.
of tracks, and all that sort of stuff?
Sounds great. So yes, just like you said, if you're an existing Apollo customer, you're fairly used to maybe the way that these faders look. What we had to do for Luna was make it a lot more extensible because we've got a lot more than just plugins and sends in this environment. So you can see there's a beautiful scrollable interface and it's completely responsive. So there's all sorts of ways that you can go through and manipulate the interface. So example, you can go through and start clicking on these headers to kind of get everything to sort of a visual cue on how you'd like to see it. So if you just want to deal with inserts, you can pop that open. Easy enough to click on things, bring up the interface, just like you were saying, how it's very familiar interface with UA software or other types of recording software.
Now, you were saying that there are only so many at the moment Luna extensions.
That's right.
But these are not Luna extensions, are they?
That's right. So these are just regular insert slots that you could use UAD-2 plugins. You can also use audio unit plugins running natively on the host. So it's
So any of your audio unit plugins that you already have from working with other DAW platforms will work within Luna.
Absolutely. So not only will they work on the signal processing side, they'll also work on the instrument side. So you can use any of your favorite AU virtual instruments as well in tandem with the Luna instruments. So again, what we're seeing here, for example, in the mixer, is our ability to bring up that Moog Mini Moog that I was talking about before. So you're seeing that here. But again, I don't actually have any other third-party AUs on here, but I could absolutely bring them up and integrate them into this recording system, no problem. And that was something that we knew we had to do. Customers need to be able to use their tools, and Luna represents a complete end-to-end recording solution that allows you to do that.
Now, these instruments,
Yes.
which are Luna extensions, are running on the DSP of this Apollo X4, or are they running off the host?
It's a great question. So they're running on the host is the short answer, but we even did some pretty cool things with regards to tracking and overdubbing. So if you're in a scenario where you're deciding, I'm going to go ahead and bring up my native virtual instrument or my Luna instrument, if you drop into record and you've got some UAD-2 plugins, it will actually translate the virtual instrument directly into our DSP for a lower latency tracking and overdub workflow.
That's cool.
Which,
That's
of course, we haven't talked about what it manifests like here in the mixer, but if we go to an audio track right here, we have the same thing, of course, for inputs. What's going on when you drop into record on a track here is it gets rebuilt on the DSP. So you're actually seeing this amazing workflow where not only do I have my full unison control, which I can control from the software or the hardware, but you're actually getting all of that just completely rebuilt on the interface with plugins with near zero latency. And so that's the idea that regardless of whether it's a virtual instrument or a live input, you're able to just get this amazing performance. It's all about keeping you in that headspace of I'm trying to perform, I'm trying to get an idea down, and our plugins are just such an inspirational way to help you realize those visions. And so that's what's going on in Luna, is the seamless experience that for our customers that are really used to Console 2 and being able to go through and manipulate plugins, they're sort of used to that. But what they're missing is the ability to have it all integrated into one channel strip and not have to think about going back and forth between two applications.
So this effectively is replacing Console 2, or it's
Great question.
augmenting Console 2?
Yeah,
or?
so in terms of tracking and overdubbing, I think it's a replacement. But Console 2 is still a huge part of the Apollo ecosystem. Now, if you're a Luna user and you're like, why do I need Console 2? there's so many key reasons. One would be persistent monitoring in your studio. So many people tell us that they love the ability to just plug in a guitar and hear sound. Console still does that in the Luna context. So imagine you shut down the session here, and you're in between takes, and you still just want to play your guitar, or your keyboard, or your microphone. You can, of course, still do that. So persistent monitoring is a big one. Very much related is the flex routing feature, which is only available in console. It's a great ability to take an input and route it to a specific output. Maybe you're using that for reamping. Maybe you're using that for effects processing. There's any number of things you can use flex routing for. But again, that's still a great reason to use Console 2. And then the last thing is about TalkBack. So again, TalkBack being a part of the persistent monitoring workflow. Again, if I'm talking to you over the TalkBack system, we're in different rooms. The TalkBack system exists both in Luna and in console all the time. So again, just a lot of features about how the input works on an Apollo is still controlled from Console 2, and it's still a great benefit. And of course, if you're still a Pro Tools, Logic, Cubase, Ableton, etc. customer, Console is the solution for a great low latency workflow with those aforementioned pieces of software.
Okay, so we talked a bit about instruments. Let's talk about actually tracking some audio, because let's face it, we've got all these lovely converters, lovely mic pre's. Let's talk a little bit about the actual workflow of doing some tracking, and maybe using some unison pre's and some effects and stuff.
Totally.
Can we print to tape, as we would call it?
Yes, exactly.
And all those sort of things.
Totally. So great question, and yes. So as I mentioned, what happens when you've got this track here is you can see I'm dropping in and out of record. Now, what's cool is that on the input side of things, we do have a unison plugin. We set this up beforehand, but you're seeing that all of the preamp settings get stored with the channel. Now, this is slightly different from Console 2, where you've got input 1, you've got your plugins on there. Of course, those are remembered. But in the case of a recording system like this, we could have 10 tracks with input 1 on them. But the nice thing is that if you drop different plugins onto these different tracks, it will remember your unison input strip, and it will recall it per channel. And as you mentioned, we've got the ability to print directly to disk. We've got this Neve pre here, but we've also got a new convention inside of Luna called the record effect slots. And these are sort of what they sound like. It's your ability to say, yeah, I want to print these plugins directly to disk. You can see I've also got the insert section down here. Let me just collapse the tape section, put them closer together here. If I wanted to decide, you know what, I like that LA2A, I'm going to print it. I've got that confidence. Easy enough to just drag and drop it up here. This is all happening in real time. We're not going and like worrying about, oh, where's this plugin going to go? We can either print it, or in the regular insert slot, listen through them non-destructively, which is really great if you're deciding, you know what, I am going to track a guitar, and I'm not so sure about the tone. I want to change it later. Finally, in Luna, we've got the ability to do that completely seamlessly in one environment. And I think customers are just going to be really excited about that. And in addition to all the other things, you know, of course, because it's got the full-fledged recording system, again, we're just dropping into record. We've got an integrated metronome that ties right into the headphones. So it's really easy with almost nothing to just start getting ideas down. And all of the sort of, you know, punch-in type of features where you just want a quick punch in and out, all that stuff works perfectly in Luna. So again, a great workflow for recording audio.
Because that's always been one of the pain points of using like Pro Tools, for example, having to have monitoring muted and then try to drop in. It's always been a little bit of a bit awkward, should we say?
Yeah, and I think again, we have so many customers that have absolutely mastered the workflow, but for a lot of people that are just getting into it, they find having to go between two applications may be difficult. And so that's what we think is so special about this accelerated real-time monitoring, this integration, because absolutely the ability to just say, oh, I've got my guitar, I'm going to just listen to it. Okay, I'm ready to record something. You record it, and then you hit stop, you hit play. That's where we sort of fall down today, unless you know how to manage the two applications. So with Luna, you can just go that seamlessly between punch-in, playback. Oh, let's do it again. And just managing that whole system is so simple in here. And of course, in addition, you talked about recording. In addition to all of the great features, you know, we have sort of the things that people would expect with regards to what would be called playlists in other systems. We call them track versions, but it's the ability to say, you know what, I'm going to, in this case, I'll just duplicate it here. You can see we've got take 1 and take 2 here, but it would be easy enough to, you know, drop into record on this track. You can see I'm recording. Of course, I don't have a microphone hook up into the system, but easy enough to just drop in, hit stop, hit play, and we're hearing the same thing through the same plugin chain as you'd expect in a TDM-like system. So, and of course, if I made a major mistake, all of that's undoable, or of course, I've got my original track version just waiting there in case I want to go back to it for whatever reason.
So if we can go back to the mixer just for a second.
Of course.
we've got two more kind of elements in here. We've got tape, which looks quite interesting.
So yes, so the big Luna extension for your tracks and instruments is the integrated tape machines. So we've got the Oxide tape recorder, which is, again, an amazing sounding tape emulation. It's not necessarily emulated after any one tape machine. This was kind of the unique thing about the Oxide plugin that we did a few years back. But I think, again, the really big news for Luna customers is that this is going to be included for free with the Luna system.
That's very cool.
And so everybody's going to be able to just bring up their tracks or record something into the system and basically retrack through these tape machines. And so I think that is worth the price of admission alone, because it's an amazing sound. It will just reinvigorate existing tracks. It does amazing things on virtual instruments. Pretty much anything you throw at it, it will just add life and cohesion to it. But yeah, the thing that I think is super special is the Studer A800 tape recorder. In addition to sort of the same feature set as what we find on the Oxide, with a basic, on-off switch and saturation, which is really doing a reciprocal gain under the hood, it also has much more under the hood in terms of per-track controls. So you get the ability to bias your tracks, change out the repro EQ settings. But if that's not enough, you can easily go to the master section here, and you can see I've got this all synced up with the transport. I can go out and change out the different tape types, and you can see that all changing in real time. And you've got all of the things that you'd expect with tape speed, so you get that kind of lower fi, but amazing, again, for drums. Go down to 7.5 hips. You're going to thank everybody. Or you're going to thank UA for that. And I think just, again, the sound of this thing is insane. And I think when we get into this, this is really a big mixing feature, right? This is actually running natively inside of Luna.
Right.
So you're going to get an amazing experience where, oh, I want to put this on a lot of tracks. You're able to do that very simply in this system. But of course, if you want to track with these, the Oxide plugins and the Studer plugins still work on the input. So you can, of course, put those into your insert slots or put them into the record effects, and you could decide to track it to disk that way. So there's all sorts of options for tape in the Luna system.
So what if I already own the Studer A800 tape machine? Do I have to go and buy it again?
Great question. So as you guys know, the plugin costs $349, and for our customers, if you own that plugin, you're going to get it for free. So we're grandfathering customers in based on their ownership of the UAD-2 plugin.
Very, very cool. Yeah. So I'm seeing one more kind of section of the, I'm going to call it the mixer, because, hey, it is.
That's what we call it.
Good. Yeah. That's a good thing.
Yeah.
These rather lovely, the summing controls up here. Tell me a little bit about that.
That's right.
It's looking kind of Neve and kind of English.
It is. So we've actually partnered with Neve on this project, as we have for a lot of our plugins. Some of our most popular plugins are in partnership with Neve. And so we are finally bringing console emulation to the party in Luna with Neve summing. So this is a model of a very pristine 8028 style console. That whole 80 series console sound is built into the fabric of Luna with Neve summing. Now, we talked about the instruments; those are running on instruments tracks. We talked about ARM; that's for inputs on your Apollo. We talked about the tape machines; those are extensions that run on instrument and audio tracks. But Neve summing runs on buses, so that's sort of the third track type that we've got inside of Luna. So the bus tracks are really giving you that cohesion where you mix in to the buses. This is just giving you that glue that people are looking for when it comes to analog summing. But instead of having to take all the outputs out of your interface and go into that analog summer, we have that in the system here, right in the box. And it really is insane. You can, of course, go through and A/B it if you don't believe me, but after you turn it off, you're going to miss it very quickly. You're going to turn it back on. And yeah, we've worked with Neve on this amazing sound. And what is so cool about these is that, we haven't gone so strict that you can't also do some pretty amazing things like put any old plugin that you want. So of course you could put your bus compressor on here, but it would be akin to having a bus compressor strapped across your bus on the console. Yep. So you could have, a 33609, or you could have your Fairchild, or your API 2500. So again, a nice mixture like you'd have in the real studio of a Neve console with your favorite processors, all inside of Luna. So again, everything that's going on inside the box is just insane, because we're finally able to deliver this end-to-end recording system to customers with our Apollo systems.
Lev, it's going to be amazing. I'm looking forward so much to getting my greasy dabs on it. Thank you so much, sir.
Great to see you. Thank you for coming by.
It's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you again. I've been James Ivey at NAMM 2020 here on the Universal Audio booth with the amazing Luna.